What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to take a look at my performance in the April Summer Championship Qualifier. There were a bunch of really sweet games in this tournament, and I want to showcase all of my games from day one. So we're going to look at these games a little bit sped up, try that out a little bit. I'll be adjusting the play speed a little bit throughout the video. Feel free to give me feedback on that regard, but we're going to be starting game one with Apocalypse, and I'm just going to be picking up Humpty Dumpty to start on this first turn strong, and then I am locking on the 4 Glory plus the Unicorn because I think that Humpty Dumpty should be able to let us win our first 2 combats, and if we are able to do so, then we'll get that 4 Glory, get an additional unit. Even if we lose our Humpty Dumpty to this Merlin, which is a definite possibility, then we'll at least get a replacement unit off of the 4 Glory. So that's the plan. We're actually going to win, keep the Humpty, and get the 4 Glory off. So a really strong start. Probably going to be picking up another Humpty Dumpty here. We do have to be a little bit careful because Share Bear is giving out some gold to some of the players in this lobby, so there's some interesting things to consider here, and what I'm going to go for, again, a little bit of a risk, but another 4 Glory. I don't really think that the Unicorn is going to carry me super far, and I'm thinking that if we are able to get out of this combat with a win, which we are going to be able to do, now we'll get a free tier 3 unit. So we lost one of our eggs, but we got a prized pig for free. That's pretty sweet, and there's some options in this shop as well. We've got the gingerbread house, we've got baby dragon, and we've got a Queen of Hearts with no real support on it. So I'm going to pick up baby dragon, roll, and then pick up another Humpty, and we're definitely moving past the point in the game where these Humpties are super great. We see that this King Midas has a bunch of stats themselves, but we are going to get away from this combat, not taking too much damage. We do lose a little bit from my opponent's Dark Contract, though. That's what actually did us in there. And I'll just try to be as strong as I can, picking up the Minotaur, but then also greeting a little bit with the Turkish Delight. We've still got 40 health, and rather than just spend 2 turns picking up level 3 units, I feel like it might be better for us to just pick up the Turkish Delight, and then next turn we'll be able to start purchasing tier 4 units, probably not keeping this prized pig around. We are probably going to lose this combat, donate some gold, but we don't take too much damage in the process. We take 8, we're down to 32. We're actually still in the top half of players in this lobby, so that's pretty sweet. And here, I think we're going to go for the Polywoggle plus a free roll, potentially try to do something nice with the Polywoggle. I don't typically love Polywoggle on Apocalypse, but I feel like there might be something that we can make happen, and picking up Friendly Spirit is a pretty nice unit to add to that as well. I'll slow it down a little bit now to 1.5 speed, and hopefully we can just try to save as much health as possible at this point in the game. We are going to wind up taking a little bit of damage against the Cursed King, taking 10 down to 22, so now I really want to focus on just preserving my health total as much as possible, and I think that Lightning Dragon and Medusa are pretty good tools to try to do so. So I'm going to pick up both of those here, as well as grabbing the Witch's Brew to grab a tier 2 treasure off of Cinderella. Doesn't really give me anything that I'm super excited about, but I'll just skip the treasure and then roll, and we find another Turkish Delight. And while I do want to be as strong as we possibly can, I do also really want to prioritize XP on Apoc and try to get back into the game that way, because I think that that is going to give us the most chances to get back in the game. And I am slightly considering, do I want to put the Lightning Dragon on the Baby Root That will prevent against falling stars, it will also prevent against earthquake, and it could potentially allow the lightning dragon to attack and survive, which it is going to be able to do here. So that winds up being a pretty clutch play, and then it also takes out the prize pig and trades with the frog prince after getting the friendly spirit buff. So pretty sweet stuff. We are going to take some damage. We are going to give Matignon some extra XP as well, but then we'll pick up some more XP for ourselves, and now we're level 5, and we're up against the 40 health Fallen Angel, the undefeated player in this lobby, and I definitely want to put some respect on that name. I'm going to sell off a few of my units, pick up one of these sirens, and I don't believe that I lock to pick up an additional siren, but let's see. I think I'm just gonna let this go. But okay, no, I do lock for this additional siren here, and I think that is a good move because we're definitely struggling a little bit. But we're actually okay here up against Matignon, and or no, this is up against Scotty, and we actually find the win against an undefeated Fallen Angel. So not doing too bad for ourselves. Next turn is the turn where we want to cast XP. That was also part of the reason that I locked the Siren, is I figured what we'd want to do is pick up the Siren and then spend the rest of the turn just rolling for XP. And yeah, works out really well for us. We are able to find some XP pretty quickly. Do have to figure out what we want to do with our remaining gold, and I'm going to use that to pick up a Nyan Sea Terror and just add a little bit more oomph to the board. But you can tell we are pretty strong now. We just beat the first place player in the lobby. We're probably going to do good here, especially if we take out Court Wizard with our Lightning Dragon and steal my opponent's biggest unit. So this combat goes really, really well for us for sure, and is going to mean that we walk away with a win. We'll even steal their statue to hit them for 1 extra damage there. And now I'm going to sell off my whole board, and we're level 6 as Apoc. So that's going to give us a board full of goodies. We've got 3 trees with another pumpkin in the shop, but also another green knight. And I'm definitely interested in playing trees. I think that we are ahead enough this game that we can definitely make it work, though the pumpkin is certainly tempting to be able to go double pumpkin here, but I'm just going to pick up this second green knight and then roll for Echo Woods and Burning Trees. Could also pick up Soul Tack or Creeper, but I'm going to roll one more time, find a Burning Tree, and now we've got a pretty good board for ourselves. We've also got 4 good units plus or 4 evil units plus the pigs. So that's going to do some nice work for us with the pumpkin and just give us some additional survivability. But I think we're pretty strong at this stage of the game with a 35-65 Burning Tree. That is so much bigger than all of my opponent's units and should be enough to allow us to find a win here. We'll see how we are able to convert this. Yeah, looks like we will be able to get a win and take out Sir Galahad, up 3 XP on the rest of the lobby, other than the Share Bear, other than Matignon. So that is going to be like our main competition here, but don't really think that Midas is going to be somebody that we need to care about too much. Interestingly, there's a Lancelot plus a Gigantify there, so that could be sweet, but we are going to wind up dreaming into the Fates, which is really, really cool. If you've never seen this interaction before, well, actually neither have I. This is the first time that I have ever cast It Was All a Dream into the Fates and been able to get fated to something later in the game. So basically whatever we purchase first, we are going to be fated to buy. So I'm going to lock this Burning Tree here, and we're going to get another Burning Tree showing up in the shop next turn. Then along with the Robin Wood, we are going to be able to make big enough units to survive this combat, so everything's going to be really good. Next turn, we're basically just going to upgrade one of our Burning Trees and grab a tier 5 treasure. So we'll see what we can make happen out of that, but doing pretty good. 10 damage to the Midas. And we get to grab Hand of Midas as our tier 5 treasure, so we're actually grabbing 2 upgraded burning trees, both of those getting +3, +9 from the fates as well. So really good stuff. I'll grab Baby Root as an additional unit just to fill out the board a little bit, and that'll be a 35-3 Baby Root because of the Ashwood Elm, and then both of these burning trees are going to get +35, +70. So those will both be 38 132s and a 38 129. So some pretty nice large units there. Baby Root will actually now be what is going to get, or yeah, I guess the Baby Root will get the Robin Wood bonus, the +15 attack from that, up against Zelhua. Feeling pretty strong with these large burning trees, though. They do take out our Green Knight with one of the mummies, and then my opponent does also have the Medusa lurking in the background. Maybe we can attack into it. All right, not quite. We are going to wind up actually losing to the Medusa. A little bit unlucky there, as we see we were 96% to win that one, but instead we took 6 damage. Robin Wood, definitely somewhat tempting here, and then I'll spend the rest of my turn rolling and trying to find some sweet stuff. I'll sell off the Baby Root just to give this Ashwood Elm +4/+4, because that'll give everything else an additional +4 attack, so it's giving the burning trees an additional +4/+8. So definitely a good use of some stats there. We'll have to battle through double Romeo plus a Court Wizard and a Cupid, but I think we are going to be able to do so, especially because we take out the Court Wizard and take out some of those excess pinks. So that is going to take out King Midas, and now we are on to the top 3. We're up against Matignon again, and we find another burning tree. So that's really good. I'll pick up this golden chicken, and now I'm really just rolling for a Green Knight or a Robin Wood. I think I am going to wind up taking a Shrivel. We'll see what Matignon is playing. We don't really have too big of an idea because we haven't played them in a little bit, so I'm actually just going to wind up rolling, seeing if we can't find something sweet, and that is going to be it for this turn. You know what? I'm not gonna skip ahead. But yeah, this was a really sweet game, and this was the first game in the tournament with Dreaming into Fates, which I'd never done before, and I thought was really cool. I also, let me know, but I feel like this is working right now. Basically, I did 2x speed for the beginning half of the game, and when I cut that, I switched to 1.5x speed. Guess I should talk about this battle as well. Matignon just picks up all of the Echo Woods, takes them away from us, and then also all of these Jormungand's, and they do get the slay on us with these Baba Yagas as well that they have, and they're able to convert that into a win. So we do get a loss there. We were 100% to lose that combat, but third place, not the worst for the first game of the day. It was a pretty sweet game. I feel like I could have gotten second place. We kind of got scammed a little bit by the Medusa a few turns ago, and I think that this game was worthy of a second place finish, potentially a first, if we just had a little bit more time to try to grab some important treasures, because we were actually treasureless. And we will take a look now at Game 2. Game 2, there's really only one hero that I could choose there, and that is Fallen Angel. Fallen Angel, not super exciting of a hero most of the time, but a pretty strong one, and definitely one that I want to consider on the tournament realm, just to give us a strong start and see what we can translate that into. So Black Cat on the first turn, pretty good. Not going to worry about picking up the good units here. It is potentially, somewhat interesting just to have some guaranteed good units, but I'd rather not lock, potentially try to find a spell that could give us some more econ, or just some units that are going to work better with the Black Cat, like a Mad Mim or something like that. And then this shop, I think we could lock. It's got a Sherwood Sure Shot and it's got a Happy Little Tree, but none of those things particularly scale that much better by getting an additional 2 health. Sure, we could have a 1/3 Happy Little Tree, but overall it's just not super exciting. So I'm going to let that just roll away here. And then on this turn, I obviously am going to pick up the Cinderella plus the Frog Prince, and that'll give us a pretty strong board now for turn 3, though we're up against a 40 health Sharebear. Sharebear and Cursed King, both of them in both of our first 2 lobbies here, so a lot of extra gold being thrown around, and Wonder Waddle as well, so a lot of strong units here. And we see a pretty strong start for this Sharebear. They are fully egging, and we are going to be able to crack one of their eggs. I feel like we had a pretty strong start to even just be able to do that. And now on this shop, I'll pick up a golden chicken, and then I'll pick up 2 evil units. So now all of our units have +2 attack, and I feel really strong at this stage of the game. We've got a kitty cut purse that can potentially slay. We've got a black cat that's a 3/1 spawning a 3/1. All of our other units have +2 attack, including this Sherwood Sure Shot. So ultimately, I think that this is a really strong board. We are going to get the slay. We are going to wind up getting some extra gold, and then we are also going to defeat this Horde Dragon. So 7 gold on 3.1. We could pick up some good units here. We see Romeo, and we see this Baby Root. I'm also going to cast the Falling Stars, but I'm not going to pick up the Baby Root. I'm just going to roll and then going to pick up the Baby Root. Oh, that's right. With Romeo, we actually already have enough good stuff. I'm sorry, I missed that. The increased speed can potentially make me miss a little bit of things here, but I will definitely pick up the Brave Princess. That is a really good one to have, and hopefully we can grab a free treasure off of that one. But are still looking pretty strong. My opponent is going to get an attack with the Stag, so that's a little bit scary. And then we're not going to be able to get an attack with Brave Princess, but we are going to find a win. So not too shabby here. I'd really like to find some XP right now because I feel like we're reasonably strong. We don't get too much stronger by adding to the board. I mean, this Wicked Witch will definitely add to the board. We could take the Candy Rain here as well, and then Vampire is also kind of an interesting thing. So I'm thinking we could sell this Kitty Cut Purse, buy Vampire, buy the Evil Witch, and then just buy the Candy Rain. That will activate Cinderella a little bit, and we're putting in the new Sherwood Sure Shot as well because that just got +1/+1 from the Candy Rain. Brave Princess not going to get the slay again, and my opponent's Ogre Princess is going to get a really nice breakpoint. We will still win the combat thanks to the Queen of Hearts, but that Peter Pan's could be a little bit of a problem considering they have the Crystal Ball already. And I'm eyeing up what we can do in this shop, and I'm thinking, okay, Knighthood, that'll activate Cinderella, maybe that's nice for us, and I think we're actually going to be pretty strong here if we take Needle Nose Daggers and then just go all in on the evil strategies. Not really super concerned with Brave Princess at this point because it's got 3 triggers left to slay in it, and I think that we should just avoid it. Then I'm going to throw in the Black Cat as well because that is just so good with the Needle Nose Daggers and the Fallen Angel hero power. So everything now getting +4 attack on my side of the field. That is a bunch of extra attack and should mean that at the very least we don't lose. We wind up tying this combat and walking away with a Kidnap, which gets us a free monster book. Not too shabby. Interestingly, we could take some Riverwash mermaids here. Let's also switch to 1.5x. A few more decisions now to be made, so we'll slow it down a little bit. I am going to pick up the Vampire, and I think I want to try to find some treasures with some of these units that we're playing. And we get really lucky here, picking up these Evil Witches and then finding Ancient Sarcophagus, which is exactly what I was looking for at this stage of the game. We could go for Treasure Map, though I think that just the immediate power, especially in the tournament realm, is just going to be good for us to pick up the treasure that makes us the strongest for the current board. That way, we don't lose these Needle Nose Daggers as well, and we can just continue to try to be as strong as possible. I do kind of think that there's an interesting merit to getting an additional Black Cat on this board with all of the synergies that we've got going with it. Fallen Angel, Queen of Hearts, Ancient Sarcophagus, and all of our supports. But I think that we are going to be doing pretty good here, enough with this. Then we are going to win against Wonder Waddle. We'll pick up the Vampire, and I think Merlin's Hat is the way to go here because this will definitely allow us to purchase some more XP. and potentially get ahead of the lobby in that regard. So I do like the Chupacabra here, but I also like this XP. We could sell 2 units to pick up the Chupacabra. It's not the craziest idea in the world considering we've got 2 gold left. We could definitely sell the Brave Princess at this point, and then I guess just one of these black cats, and that'll put this Chup in, though I like the black cats as well, just because of, like I said, all of those other synergies that we've got going with them. So I'm just going to wind up rolling, not doing anything too crazy this turn. Do kind of like the Medusa, though I think that now our best bet is to just try to buy a little bit more XP and then transition into trees. We do see that this Jax Giant is ahead of us on XP and also has an Ashwood Elm. People can really high roll in these tournament lobbies, and this game is no exception here. We are going to deal some damage to Jax Giant, but it is definitely scary how strong some of these boards my opponents are able to put together. So pretty good stuff. 9 Sea Terror, I think actually a really good pickup right now. Burning Trees, also pretty interesting. We could potentially put it behind the Chupacabra, or we could just put it in the spot that the Chupacabra is in. That was actually what I was indicating there. That's going to give us a 1539, probably better than a 26-9. I think that we can get some nice additional stats out of this. And the Chupacabra is still potentially worth playing because it's pumping up the Sporko. There's definitely a lot to consider here, but I pick up the 9 Sea Terror because I feel like that is a good use of gold when you're kind of up like this, and generally adds to the power of your board, though we're able to make a pretty large Burning Tree right now at 1340, and I feel like that is also just worth playing. Chupacabra are going to trade with a Grimsoul, and we see that this Sharebear has got a really interesting board going on. They are just Grimsoul with a Feasting Dragon, and then they are making huge Greedies and other sweet units. So really sweet play by them. They farm us for a bunch of gold with Greedy and take out our Needle Nose Daggers, but now we get to create a 9 Sea Terror. So Evil Eye seems okay. We've got a bunch of supports, but I think Ambrosia gives us more chance to win going forward. Now we could potentially find either a Heartwood Elder, or we could just use the Ambrosia slot to potentially pump up the Queen of Hearts, or we could use it on Ashwood Elm in the future. I'm also somewhat interested in the Polywoggle that we just saw, and I do wind up rolling past it, but there's definitely something to consider there with a Polywoggle pickup. And I do believe that I wind up making some use of Polywoggle in this game here as well, because we can just throw it into the Ambrosia slot. I'm going to wind up selling the Black Cat, picking up the Polywoggle, and I don't put it in this turn. I'm going to play Queen of Hearts just to be strong where I can this turn, but in future turns it could really help us. Unfortunately, Queen of Hearts is going to go down there to, I guess, a Mummy Missile trigger, so a little bit unfortunate, and we'll wind up taking a little bit of damage here, unfortunately, against Peter Pants. But now if we can find some Grimsouls, that's an interesting way to cheat out some upgraded level 6 units, kind of doing the Ambrosia factory style thing. And I did mention that all of these games were pretty unique and have some cool stuff going on in them, and this game is going to feature a little bit of Ambrosia Factory. Picking up this Grimsoul here, have to sell one of these units. Queen of Hearts seems as good as anything else, and now I'll grab an upgraded tier 6 unit. I think I've got a little bit of time before I'm just dead, so I'm kind of greeting, trying to pursue some different potential options here in this lobby, and then also just picking up the Doom Breath so that way we are reasonably strong as well. And I'm going to wind up cutting the Slay units and just play the Burning Tree double supported and the Doom Breath in slot 1. Doom Breath's going to get a nice 3-for-1, but my opponent is going to have an absolutely massive Friendly Spirit, and we're going to wind up getting some pigs off of the Polywoggle, so not a huge unit. And speaking of huge unit, my opponent has a massive Oni King here, and that is just going to keep attacking and getting stronger and going to hit us for 9, but we are still alive. And Want to try to make some better use of this ambrosia slot this turn, see what we can figure out. The cat skull, somewhat interesting, but I'm basically thinking that I think I need a pumpkin this turn, and I need to put that pumpkin in the ambrosia slot if I want to have a chance of really getting back into it for this game. So do consider the Feed the Kraken, but I'm going to wind up picking up Polywoggle here and just hoping that this Polywoggle turns into an upgraded pumpkin and that can kind of buy me a way out of this game. We do see Echo Wood, but I'm kind of past that at this point, and then I go for the Masquerade Ball and find the pumpkin, and that is what we're going to wind up putting into the ambrosia slot. So an upgraded pumpkin gives us a little bit more strength that we can hopefully use to just win this combat here. My opponent has some nice ranged units in their backline, and they also have an absolutely massive upgraded Tweedle, so unfortunately, we're going to have to find a way to scam that Tweedle, and we don't find any such luck here. No scams, so this Tweedle is actually just going to suck up all of the damage from our units while my opponent's ranged backline takes me out and gets me 5th place. So a little bit unfortunate. Tried to pursue some different angles at the end, didn't really get lucky, didn't really find anything, but was still a pretty fun game with the ambrosia shenanigans kind of going on, just unfortunately wasn't able to put anything together. Game 3, we played a Peter Pants game, and this game just didn't really go super hot for us. We do wind up having a pretty good turn. This turn, we get a prized pig off of the Ogre Princess, and then we get to pick up Brave Princess on what is technically 3.1 here, and that gives us a pretty strong start. I'm going to wind up selling off some of these tier 2 units to pick up Mummy rather than double up on those tier 3 units, but we just really don't get a super great start after this, and don't really find the units that I love to find on Peter Pants. I don't think this prized pig ever survives either, just because these lobbies are so aggressive on the tournament realm. Does make it a little bit more punishing to pick up something like prized pig. So I do wind up finding the Merlin's hat, and then also a Gloves of Thieving, which I grabbed off of a treasure map, but the rest of my board is really lacking. I do steal a Vampire from this skip, so that's going to help us potentially triple on Vampire, but we're also going to take a bunch of damage from this skip as well and give them a bunch of gold, but that's not really my concern. We're down to 4 now though, and we get to pick up this Vampire, triple that. I'll take Cloak of the Assassin just to have a little bit more stats on the board, but generally I don't really love trying to triple Ogre Princess. We still have this Brave Princess on the board, and we've got Frog Prince. None of these things are particularly exciting. It also means that we can't play Queen of Hearts because so many of our units are good, and that is also really just limiting the overall power. Do consider the Worm Root here, but just going to wind up rolling a little bit more and seeing what else we can find. But I think I probably should have cast it. It's kind of just free, but now we'll be able to cast Potion of Heroism. I'll pick up Queen of Hearts and then find a Mix-a-Wizzle in the last second, and I cast that onto a Frog Prince, which makes it a much worse unit, and definitely was a mistake there, changing our 1616 into a 622. My opponent has an absolutely massive Lightning Dragon here that is going to take out 2-for-1 on our ranged units, and then Baba Yaga Siren is going to steal our biggest unit, our Vampire, and we wind up losing to the Cursed King and getting an 8th place, which doesn't put us out of contention for the tournament, but definitely does not help and puts us at a pretty bad start. So we've got to turn some things around now, and Pied Piper might be the way to do it. And I think Pied Piper is a pretty strong hero. I don't really know what I'm doing on Pied Piper. It's a little bit all over the place. because there are so many different strategies that you can take with it. Like, do you take the blind mice here? Especially with Wonder Waddle and a Peter Pants in the lobby, I opt to just pick up the 2/6 and just try to be as strong as I can at every point in the game. But I always pick up Polywoggles on Pied Piper. That is the only thing that I know what I'm doing. You've heard me talk about it before. Recent video, I think it was just called Pied Piper Poly Party or something like that. But just try to pick up all of the Polywoggles on Pied Piper and see if we can find a cheesy win there with those. Unfortunately, we actually get a loss on that combat, which is really awkward because felt like we were pretty strong, but my opponent just had our number with the Cursed King. Pick up Cinderella, and then we can pick up all 3 of the rest of these units, and it's a really interesting decision. Do we want to like lock the Golden Chicken, which is a 3/3, but we're about to be on 3.0? I think no. And I'm also going to move Polywoggle into slot 4, so that way it is just more likely to get attacked into, and that is going to be the case. Do think we'll wind up losing this combat, a really similar board composition from my opponent that had some additional stats with Sharon. Then we'll triple the Unicorn. That gives us a few different options for treasures. I do think Needle-Nose Daggers can be okay here and would definitely allow our Polywoggle to slay, but I'm going to go for Shepherd's Sling. I feel like that is going to be good enough, and then I'm going to lock onto this True Love's Kiss, and hopefully Polywoggle can slay. And I really did consider picking up the Needle-Nose Daggers there because we are kind of all in on this Polywoggle slaying. But if it can slay this turn, which it looks like it can, now we'll be able to True Love's Kiss it into a tier 5 unit. Don't even care that I lost this combat. Let's turn this Lightning Dragon into a tier 5 unit, and Aeon? Actually pretty sweet. I will then go ahead and pick up the Donkey, which we can double support, make that a 6/16, and then I will backline this Aeon to potentially get some slays on this combat, and just having a rather large Donkey. It's actually getting triple supported because it's also getting +2 health from the Rainbow Unicorn as well. So I think this is a really strong start to this game despite being at 25 health at the bottom of this lobby. I think that we've put together something really, really cool and really, really strong this game. So we'll see how all of this works out for us. And we are going to get a Slay with Aeon. That's nice. So we'll have a little bit of cheaper spells this turn. Princess Peep, somewhat interesting, especially with the Good Witch. We could pick up a bunch of stuff there, but I think I'm going to try to make some more use of this Pied Piper hero power and not just pick up some non-animals. I will definitely pick up Polywoggle, always picking up Polywoggle, and then Genie's Wish can flip Cinderella, so that's kind of sweet. I'll go for that, and I'll pick up Locked Chest because we've got Aeon, and maybe that lets us pick up Ball. So that would be kind of cool. I will sell off my Tiny to pick up Donkey, which is another way that we could potentially get Ball, and then I'll just keep the Polywoggle in my hand because next turn we will be on 4.0. and can potentially start to slay with that. We are going to get some summons off of Donkey, but so is my opponent. They are going to make a big egg there, and this combat's actually really sweet. We get 1 slay with Aeon, my opponent summons some more stuff with Donkey, we get our 2nd slay with Aeon, and our 3rd slay. So our spells cost 3 less this turn. Really, really cool. We'll start by casting a Mix-a-Whizzle on a whatever that was, and then we find the End, and the End is totally free for us here, so that is a really cool pickup. I also really like picking up Grim Soul when I am playing Pied Piper, because we are going to pick up all the Polywoggles that we can find. I'm going to the End the Baby Root, and then I'm just going to roll for some more Polywoggles and fail to find it, but hey, we spent our gold rolling, and that is fine, all things considered. The Grimsoul could also hit on the Aeon, but I feel like that is kind of fine. We're going to get Angry off of the Locked Chest, and that puts us in a pretty interesting spot here too. We're also going to wind up getting a Grim Soul off of a Donkey that allows the Aeon to give us a little bit more of a discount. So we're doing pretty interesting stuff here. Pick up another Polywoggle and let's switch to 1.5x. So we've actually got a lot of ground to cover in this turn. We have the Grim Soul. We know that we're going to be able to find this Polywoggle. We're also going to grab a triple on Donkey, take our first look for Ball, and we don't find that, but Haunted Helm is kind of interesting just along with this Angry. That can give us a bunch of stats. I should have purchased the other Donkey, by the way. I did purchase the wrong Donkey, but there was just a lot to think about this turn. And then the other thing that I really want this turn is some XP. And the reason for that is because that will put us on 5.0, and that will mean that Aeon can turn Polywoggle into a tier 6 unit. And that is going to be really strong for us. It's going to mean that I don't even want to play the Aeon this turn, just because I want to make extra sure that we do get to slay onto this Polywoggle, and that'll give us a tier 6 unit while the rest of the lobby is on 4.1. So we have really gotten ahead of ourselves on this game. Donkey also now gets to spawn out tier 5 units, which is a nice little bonus, and then we're also going to grab a Green Knight from the Polywoggle, and unfortunately we are going to wind up just barely losing this combat to a Sporko, but we've got a Green Knight. We also get to grab a tier 3 treasure off of the locked chest, and that's going to give us a treasure map. So a long way to a tier 7 treasure here. We'll pick up some golden chickens, but I don't want to triple it. I don't want to triple it because I want a higher tier treasure than just a tier 4 treasure. I do consider picking up some Angries. We can use Green Knight with the other Angries that we have, or the other Angry that we have, and that's going to give us a pretty big dwarf in the front row. I'm also somewhat interested in potentially picking up like a Polywoggle or something, but for this combat, we're just going to wind up playing a pretty straightforward board. We're not making too much use of Angry. We're not playing any other dwarves, but we are using Donkey alongside the Green Knight to have a 29 health Donkey, and that's going to be pretty strong for us. And then we're going to have slightly cheaper spells from this combat as well, because Grim Soul is going to trigger onto Aeon. My opponent does take out our Donkey, and then they also have a Medusa, so they've got a pretty scary build here, all things considered, but we're actually kind of huge right now. So we are going to be able to hit my opponent for a little bit of damage here, and this is what I really want. I want to just pick up a bunch of burning trees and make a tier 7 treasure that way. I think that's going to be the most gold efficient. Oh, I also would certainly pick up Lance if we could find one, but just haven't found a Lance, and we're not going to wind up finding a Lance. But Lance we could put in slot 1, and then it would have 29 health from the Green Knight and the Haunted Helm, and it would immediately activate. But not going to be so lucky. We will pick up a Polywoggle, and that'll give us another tier 6 unit ahead of the curve. Hopefully we could grab another tree or something and put together something sweet. And I do feel like at this point, at some point we were in last place, I think, maybe with 22 health. Now we're in first place, still with the same amount of health. So we've definitely turned some things around here. My opponent going to be pretty strong with double Medusa, a little bit scary. And then we are going to get a good boy. And we're also going to summon an Aeon from our Donkey or something, I guess. So pretty silly stuff here. We will get this Slay with Aeon. We will take a little bit more damage as well. Not the best thing in the world, but now we've got a good boy, and we can potentially do some fun stuff with that. We are also going to be able to grab a tier 7 treasure by upgrading our burning tree, and we can make an absolutely massive burning tree here. So this is really cool. We can make a 0-60 burning tree with the Haunted Helm and the Green Knight, and then Round Table will give that plus 60 attack, which will give it plus 120 health. So that'll be a 60-180 burning tree, and ultimately just be pretty strong. We could also decide to lock this knighthood here for the good boy. Good boy also going to be pretty strong in its own right with the Round Table. It'll be a 17-17, and I'm just looking at the potential breakpoints, like if plus 17 on the Hercules potentially gets it to a point where we could maybe get it to activate into Not going to be so lucky, but this absolutely massive burning tree is going to be enough just to win the combat by itself. And then Hercules is going to get 2 hits as well. And that'll put us pretty close to a tier 6 treasure. We get to play up against the Ghost. And we see that Hercules has 22 health. So as long as we keep playing this Rainbow Unicorn, we will be in a really good spot because the Hercules will get to activate. Beauty's influence on the burning tree does a number of things. One, it makes it so that the good boy now activates on it. It also gives it +4 health, which gives it plus an additional +8. It gives it +4 attack from the round table and then an additional +8 health. And it also means that we could evil twin it. That's the third thing, in addition to just the stats. So that is pretty interesting. I'm going to wind up locking onto this evil twin and then just rolling, hoping to try to find some more Polywoggles for this turn, and we'll see what direction this can bring us into as well. Burning Tree is going to go down to the Rotten Applewood, so a little bit unfortunate. Hopefully these pigs can carry us here. We do have to be a little bit fearful against this pumpkin, but what is that going to summon? Okay, 1 Medusa and then a bunch of nonsense. So we should be good enough here to still get the win, but a little bit scary. We are going to be able to grab a tier 6 treasure here now as well from this Ivory Owl. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I don't want to evil twin this burning tree. Maybe I want Ivory Owl, and I want to play a little bit of a good boy shenanigan here. And what we can kind of do is we'll sell out of this Aeon, I'll make another good boy, and we can kind of grow with the good boy while also pursuing some things with Polywoggle and potentially making something nice happen there. So that is kind of the plan, and I'm going to wind up rolling and then wind up rolling into, oh, Gigantify, that's kind of interesting. And then, okay, for this turn, we just pick up Golden Chicken. But now I'm remembering what's happening. So yeah, these good boys are going to, excuse me, round table out, so a 24-24 and then a 14-14. Those are going to be pretty big units in their own right, and they're going to give a ton of extra stats to Burning Tree. And then I'm going to get in another good boy from the Polywoggle in the back, so really sweet. We also find another good boy just from being Pied Piper, and yeah, we're really quite strong here. I'll grab Pandora's box. I think we are strong enough that we can try to pick up another tier 7 treasure. And at this point, we're really just a good boy gamer, and that is one of the other things that Pied Piper can do. Used to be that I would, you know, do Pied Piper with Copycat and Good Boy, and that's something that we haven't really seen in a while since the nerf to Good Boy no longer pumping itself with Copycat. But we can still make some really sweet things happen just by picking up a bunch of good boys by playing Pied Piper. So we find 2 good boys this turn thanks to our hero power. All of our good boys are going to get +2/+2 each turn. And then we've also got a tier 7 treasure on the way. And I think we're strong enough that even with one of our good boys getting pigomorphed, we should be pretty strong because they multiply in on each other and then also wind up granting a bunch of stats to this turned good Burning Tree, which winds up being a pretty good decision. And we're going to wind up grabbing a Holy Grail here. I'll put Beauty's Influence on the first good boy just so that way it doesn't matter which order they die in. And we do see that we've got Copycat, but I'm just going to keep rolling. I don't think we want to do Copycat. Just seems a little bit too risky with compared to everything else we've got going on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little bit of reordering before I pick up this good boy. And now what I can do is I can float this tier 6 treasure. I want to keep the Ivory Owls. I want to keep the Round Table. I definitely want to keep this Holy Grail. And what I'm thinking is this Singing Sword isn't really going to do too much for us, because what happens here, if we grab the Singing Sword, these good boys turn into 24-26s. The Burning Tree will get a bunch more stats, but these both turn into, it's just that Singing Sword has some really weird kind of anti-synergy with Round Table for now. And enough that it's not going to make us that much more powerful this turn. It will kind of scale up with the good boys and do some nice things. But I think that we can get away with here just holding on to the Singing Sword, and then when we start our next turn, I'll start that by immediately grabbing the Singing Sword and then seeing what else we can find, if we can find some more good boys or some more trees or what have you. Now, because of that, I can't rearrange my board at all, and I think it would have done us a much better service to have either this burning tree or this donkey go in the back line instead of Hercules, because that would just mean that all of the good boy buffs we can put onto something where the buffs scale a little bit more, where they matter a little bit more. And unfortunately, this Peter Pants is absolutely massive. They've got Hatball Fork, they've got 2 Ashwoods, a burning tree, a bunch of other stuff, and they're going to kill us. They're going to hit us for almost exactsies there, 15, and we were at 14. So this was a really, really sweet game. 2 more treasures here, not pictured, the Holy Grail plus the Singing Sword, and unfortunately that's going to get us in 2nd place, which feels really, really unlucky. This did still definitely, as a 2nd place, help us to get a little bit back into the game. Basically, I needed to get like 1st and 2nd places from here on out for the most part after that 8th place finish, but that's still good enough here to grab a 2nd place. It does still mean that we're going to still have to play really, really well, and we are going to need at least 1 1st placed finish throughout the rest of day 1, but we'll see what we can do. And I think what we might be able to do is take Gwen. And Mad Catter and Sharon are both pretty good heroes. They're pretty good just mid-range heroes, but I think Gwen is an okay hero to take if you just want to totally spike a lobby. So I'm going to go all out for it here. I'm going to take Gwen. I'm going to Knighthood the Polywoggle on turn 1. I'm going to hope to win that 50-50 and then just play the Polywoggle lottery. And if this works, then we should be able to easily win the game. Unfortunately, we don't get the Slay there, so I'm going to pick up Mad Mim and hope that that is then enough to allow us to slay in subsequent turns. And it is still going to come down to a 50-50, but at least this way, if the Polywoggle attacks, we know that it'll slay, as opposed to, I'd feel pretty bad if my 2-2 attacked into a 3-3 or something, which it actually could have happened there. My opponent did have that 3-3 Wizard's Familiar. We're going to wind up grabbing a doubly, which is not exactly the unit that I want to see, and then I am going to wind up picking up a Baby Root to make my doubly an 11-11. So this gives us an okay turn for 2.2, but after this board is going to fall off a little bit. I'm going to try to slay with Polywoggle right now as well, just to get a little bit more power onto the board. We are going to wind up winning here against Geppetto, so that's fine, but ultimately we are just not super strong for the rest of the game. We end up getting a Sleeping Princess that's pretty awkward. I kind of feel like I need to wake the Sleeping Princess up, and I also feel like I need to maybe grab Polywoggle and try to win this for glory and do something interesting in that capacity. And just going to keep the Sleeping Princess in the front line because we're playing up against Sadrak. Maybe they'll attack into that one and we won't have to worry about it. So it does work out nicely for us, but unfortunately my opponent is just going to have too big of a backline. We actually had a 50-50 there to win. If the Humpty Dumpty attacked into the Good Witch, then our Humpties would have traded and I would have won because I had 2 supports. But unfortunately, we're going to wind up losing our Humpty and losing the For Glory, and ultimately just not able to put together really anything super strong for the rest of the game. Do get to go Potion of Heroism here, grab a reasonably big Sleeping Princess, and the rest of it just isn't really ever going to come together. I'm never gonna quite figure it out. And I think let's jump ahead a little bit. Okay, so this is where we wind up. You can see that we still have the Polywoggle, and we've picked up another one. I've also picked up a Gingerbread Knight just to try to be a little bit stronger for the here and now. And then we've got the Fanny to try to do some work with the doubly, but that's why I said the doubly was an awkward one. The power of it just scales off super quickly unless you can find some better supports and other ways to scale it, and we really didn't. So we don't wind up really having anything too strong here. I kind of pursue some Polywoggle angles, hoping that we could maybe get lucky and find a different way back into the game, but unfortunately we are going to wind up taking a loss here, and I played risky. I tried to play big. It's going to wind up giving us another 8th place and taking us out of contention for the tournament, but you know, we tried, and we still did some really fun things. So I'm not too upset about my performance overall. We had the Ambrosia stuff going on with the Fallen Angel. That was all really cool, and wherever that went. And then we also had all of the good boy shenanigans with the Pied Piper and all of the tier 7 treasures as well. So we did do some sweet stuff this tournament. Unfortunately, weren't able to put together anything super powerful enough to win a lobby even. Even the times where I thought I was doing really strong stuff, my opponents were just that much stronger. So that is going to be it for me. We will try again next month and see what we can put together, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed this look at the April tournament. Just wanted to kind of get it all out in one video, since didn't make day 2 or didn't do anything like absolutely crazy with it. Though this game was crazy. And then we also had that first game where we dreamed into fates, which is something that I've never done before. So ultimately, a pretty fun experience, just getting to do something a little bit new and unique in all of my games. And I definitely had fun with it all. Thank you guys very much for watching. That is going to be it for me today. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.